Jacob had everything a man was supposed to want: power, status, money, a corner office with a view, a reputation that made people listen when he spoke. He'd won in business. But when he walked through the front door of his own home, he felt like a stranger. His wife, Rachel, barely looked up when he came inside. His kids seemed more excited about their iPads than his own presence. The house was quiet, but it wasn't peaceful. It was cold. Deep down, Jacob knew why. Because he'd spent the last decade building an empire. He worked late, answered emails at dinner, traveled constantly. He had provided everything his family needed except for himself. And see, Rachel had tried, and then beginning to tell him what she needed. She'd say things like,
I feel like I don't even know you. You're never really here. I don't want this life if it means I have to do it alone.
but Jacob brushed it off.
I'm doing this for us.
See, that's the lie he told himself. That was the excuse that let him ignore the growing distance. Until the night Rachel finally said the words he never saw coming.
I don't think I love you anymore.
And that night, he sat in his car in the driveway for over an hour, staring at the steering wheel. His mind was just racing, ruminating, thinking what most men would think, right?
How did this happen? I gave everything. She's just being ungrateful.
But then a darker thought crept in, one that he'd been avoiding for years.
What if I'm the problem?
See, for the first time, Jacob saw it. His success was real, but it was built on escape. He'd made his work his identity because it was easier than facing what was missing at home. His wife wasn't insecure. She was alone, and he'd spent years dismissing her loneliness as complaining. His kids weren't distant because they were distracted. They were distant because he had never really been present. That was the night that everything changed. And not because his wife begged him to change, not because he was scared of losing everything, but because for the first time, he realized all of his success left his family feeling empty. So what did he do? He started showing up, not just physically, but emotionally. He left his phone in the car when he came home. He listened instead of defending himself. He made time, not just for things, but for connection. And slowly, Rachel started to soften, not because he said all the right things, but because his actions proved that he finally understood it. Here's the truth, brother. Every good woman will organize around a strong man's energy. They don't need you to be perfect. They need you to be present. Your wife doesn't need to hear another speech about why you're doing this for her and your family. She needs to feel that she matters. She's a priority. Quality time is her love language. Kids don't need a millionaire dad. They need a dad, a leader in the home. It's not so much about what you provide. That's critical, but it's about how much they actually get from you. When you're leading in business and you're leaving your family behind, what's it all for? So if you're ready to fix it and create legacy, reach out to us about the Total Breakthrough Academy. Let's help you prioritize what matters most in your life, man. What did you build all this for? The focus, the intensity, the drive. Imagine if you channeled that into things of meaning, depth, and purpose in your life. And here's the reality. It's hard for you to imagine that people would want that depth of intimacy and relationship with you, something that you're not used to, but you're totally capable of. So let's unlock that in your life, because when we do, you restore fulfillment, joy, gratitude, serenity, peace, and the love that you lack in your life that is so critical and essential to you operating at peak performance.